Welcome to Questions of the Week. All right, so this is just a little segment we do where we bring in questions that Dave or I have received throughout the week, questions that we thought were quite good and that we wanted to share because I'm sure other people have very similar questions.
Yeah.
So the question I received this week from a good client of mine is: does the major streets bylaw change in Toronto affect the value of my building?
That's a great question.
Right. So just for some background, major streets is a bylaw. It's a development bylaw that was passed in Toronto, basically changing any of the major streets, hence the name. The density, if you're fronting on that major street, you just got a bump in density.
Yep.
So very simply, you can do 8 stories now versus 6 stories before, right, et cetera. It's not as simple as that, but anyways, just keeping it basic. So does it affect the value of the building? And Dave, because I answered it and I have my answer, but I wanted to get your opinion on it as well.
This is like all good things, the devil's in the detail.
Mhm.
So let's say I own a duplex and I can put a ADU or two in the back, an additional dwelling unit. Probably. We might be able to ascertain some value out of it. I own a 30-unit building and hey, I can now add, 2 stories above it.
Or even tear it down and rebuild.
Tear it down and rebuild. Yeah. In general terms, and again, everything deserves respect and a deeper conversation, but gun to my head overview, no. Because the cost to do that right now where we are in the market is just not going to bring value.
Yeah.
Where if I can throw an ADU in the back of a duplex, you might be able to do it. And I think part of that is because, well, we talk about it often, development, right? Development is a piece in the market right now that's struggling, right? And the value of the land is dropping and the cost to construct is just, the metrics aren't making sense.
Right.
So builders are holding onto this land. So yes, you can, that's great, add, 2 more stories to your 4-story building, but to do it, the cost relative to it, not seeing a lot of value.
Yeah, and I think we got to look at absorption rates as well, right? Hey, and I think the concept most people have when they hear that is no, someone's going to come in, they're going to buy my building, they're going to tear it down, they're going to build 20 stories, 8 stories, 15 stories, whatever it is. The concern I have with that is actually the time and place we're in the market right now, right? If this was a conversation we had 2, 3, 4 years ago, I would say absolutely, you just hit the gold mine. But really what we're seeing right now is 30-unit buildings, 40-unit buildings, 50-unit buildings. People are buying those based off the asset that's there right now. They want stable income. They don't want risk. And development right now in this market does pose risk. You have absorption rates you got to look at. Are you doing condo or rental product, right? Where's the parking going? What's the cost of concrete? What's the cost to develop? So there's a lot of challenges with that. And what we're finding is even in key nodes, it goes great. Maybe having that means Mr. Buyer's going to take your building over a different building that's not facing on a main street because in the future he can build.
Because it doesn't hurt. It's definitely helping.
But the value today, they're not going to look at it and say development is this, because very honestly, we're having a very hard time dictating what value is on development sites because we don't know what you're selling for.
Right.
And that's the message we hear time and time again from these developers. So you're probably better off valuating it on income approach, what your building's worth today, versus what can I build here?
Well, it's like supply and demand, right? So, okay, I'm going to buy this building, tear it down and build something, or I can go get that plot of land that's ready to be developed that don't need to do any of those. And the demand in a stabilized, nice building in Toronto, the demand is quite high. And, those are selling. So you've got your demand. So you're going to go and buy something that has high demand, pay a price for it, to rip it down, to get it to a level where it's now developable land, which is not valuable in comparison. So,
and again, we'll see. This conversation may change in 2 years from now. Development comes back. It's hot. We need to develop. We need condos, whatever it may be. Then great. Yes, this is going to be worth something. You're going to have more value on your building because of this. Where we do see the value coming into play, which is interesting, is actually what Dave mentioned earlier, which not so much on the ADU, but I agree with your comment. It has to do with single family homes, duplexes, triplexes, whatever it may be. So these neighborhoods that are traditionally single family facing major roads, think Bathurst, for example. There's a ton of duplex mixed or res properties along that street. That's in one of the major streets bylaw areas. And we're now seeing people say, okay, no, we want to do land assemblies. We want to grab 3, 4, 5 homes. And there's actually become quite a bit of interest on these major streets to pick up these single family properties for $1 million.
Yeah.
And then assemble it and do a development. So that's where we're seeing value come in. So if you were residential and you're saying, Jake, I want to sell my house, has this made my house more valuable? Potentially, but I definitely think there's more interest in the market from bigger players that are going to come pick these up.
They're doing. It's funny to watch these larger players pivot, right? As an example, they development only, they shift to multis, but multis that have developable land, so they can get a cash flow as opposed to just owning a piece of land that brings you nothing.
Yep.
They get the cash flow in with the vision.
What's the long-term goal?
Right. And even buying like the single families and doing land assembly, they still have the income, and then they know the opportunities. That's there. Yeah.
Right.
Great
on.
question.
Yeah.
Really
no, I thought that was a really, really good question and something we haven't talked about before. So that was Questions of the Week.